Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweet sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And 10 minutes ago, we saw Cinderella. It was on Disney Plus. Brandy was sweet and Whitney was lovely and adorable princess who I love.
Oh, wow. That was so special.
Great. It was great. Yeah. Wow. Guys, big moment. Wow. I feel like since we heard about Disney Plus, one of the main things we were the most concerned / excited about was the Brandy's Cinderella.
Yeah.
Huge deal.
Huge deal.
Huge deal. Disney Plus, as you know, launched. We all went to go find Cinderella
November?
immediately.
It launched like November,
Last
right?
November. Yeah, went to find Cinderella immediately. It was not there. And the internet
Travesty.
had pretty much like a public outcry. Like a pretty they were pretty pissed.
Yeah, we called racism. Bullshit.
Well, it's just like, it was just bullshit.
Well, I mean, part of me, I think at the time we did discuss, like, is Disney keeping some back as like a way to entice people to join, right? Like down the line.
Right.
So that's what like we assumed. And then an announcement came. I don't know if like Brandy was on a show or something like that. And I don't know if it was the outcry or whatever, but it did come out that, you know, earlier this year they said Brandy Cinderella, because I think that's what everyone calls it, is going to be released in February, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
Big deal. It was exciting. It was the best. So obviously we wanted to watch it as soon as we could. I tried to get us to watch it last week, but Sweetie was, dead set on When Harry Met Sally, which is fine because it's a great movie. So this week, guys, we did Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Hammerstein or Hammerstein? Just kidding.
With like a twist.
I think it's
I don't know
Hammerstein.
if they used like the script of it. I think they like took some liberties with the script, I want to say, especially like the Whitney Houston part.
The book? What do they call that?
Yeah, isn't that
No, isn't that the songs?
Yeah,
I don't know.
the lyrics are called the book.
Okay, well,
But,
I forget it. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think they took some liberties on the actual like script of it, but they used most of the songs and then added a couple new ones also from Rodgers and Hammerstein's catalog from different other musicals that they just thought would like pair well with the mood of this and give Bernadette Peters and Whitney, who are great singers, other songs, right? Because Whitney Houston as the fairy godmother really only has that one, so I think they wanted to like and she so this was a Whitney Houston like production. So, yeah, if you remember in 1997, this was a big deal to some people. Now, I mentioned this to Sweetie Jimmy, and he's like, what the fuck was that? He had no idea this even existed. And I guess, why would you? 1997, he was playing basketball with his friends. He's a
Don't pay attention to
boy.
that.
No big deal. But this was a huge deal for us gals in 1997, right?
Huge. Yeah, I think it just was like advertised a lot. They played it a lot. I remember we watched it like the night it premiered. I'm pretty sure it was like that big of a deal where you're like, what do you do tonight? Oh, duh, watching Cinderella.
Yeah.
Was this, what year were the Atlanta Olympics? 96?
2.
What?
2.
92?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What is the one I remember so well from like the 96, 97? I don't know. Nagano, but so that doesn't fit my theory. But I was like, we must have seen the commercial during the Olympics. It was a great year. But we saw the commercial at some point. I don't know.
Unless during the 96 Olympics.
Maybe. Yeah. They could have been advertising it that far in
Was
advance,
that
I guess.
the one? Well, I had it switched then that it was just winter and like it was winter or summer. Because remember the Olympics used to be both of them in 1 year.
It's very confusing. I don't get it.
But yeah, this was like a Whitney Houston project. She initially was going to play Cinderella herself and then made the very smart decision to cast someone a little bit younger.
Whitney.
God bless you, Whitney, but no. And, called up her friend Brandy. I don't know if they were like super close at this time, but Brandy like was Whitney Houston was like her absolute role model. And
Was
so
her fairy godmother.
yeah, and was just
Probably.
freaking out about it. And then I think Whitney wasn't even like I'm just not gonna be in it all. That's fine. And Brandy was like, I'm not doing it unless you're a fairy godmother. So they had that little pact going on. And they just loved working together. And it was just such a cool thing. Since Bridgerton came out, has a very similar vibe to this in the sense you have like this world where like race and color and whatever doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter that like the queen is black and the king is white and their son it looks like the actor's Filipino but looks like of Asian descent. Like that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in these stories, right? It's all just about like it's a fantasy world. It's a world that doesn't need to explain anything, and it makes. And especially in the 90s where, they were doing a bit more diversity, I think, well, certainly than the 80s, and then kind of in the 2000s too. But we always talk about the 90s being a time when they really were kind of doing cool things.
We were on the right track in the 90s. And then what happened, guys? What happened? But this was truly groundbreaking.
Yeah, so groundbreaking. And this is an old musical. So this musical, Rodgers and Hammerstein's the first one. TV one was a big one in the 50s with Julie Andrews. I've never seen it, but I've heard it talked about. And it's a Broadway show, so they like made a TV version of it. And then we really grew up with this the Leslie and Warren one, which was beautiful, but all white cast, very textbook, storybook, old, yeah. It was lovely, but so to have this one, which was just like such a breath of fresh air come through. And, revamped because it's a great show. The songs are awesome. And like all you need to do is just like kick it up a notch with cool costumes, people of color.
Cool.
And some different arrangements. And people are like, shit, like that's a good show, right? And honestly, I wish they would do that more instead of peddling, remakes of cartoon, this real life.
Isn't this technically a remake?
No. Like, all the Disney cartoons are doing real life
versions.
Yeah,
of the
versions
cartoon.
of it. Yeah. Like, why don't they just do cool TV, like movie versions of them with cool casts and do something totally different? Change it up.
Yeah. There's something interesting about the TV movie but I'm not sure I like them. Like I find them weird and sterile. I think I talked about this before with.
Definitely.
I mean, no, I guess we haven't because we haven't watched it. But Mother Goose Rock and Rhyme also feels very sterile, and that was like a TV. I don't know. Like there's just a particular feeling. So I feel like when they bring them back, so they kind of brought this back when they did those like live shows on NBC, like Peter Pan and the other ones, Sound of Music and stuff like that.
But they weren't doing anything different with them.
Right. Wasn't, kind of awkward, like pretty limiting in terms of what you can do differently. So that makes sense. But you're right. Maybe there's room for this. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of, when they do Shakespeare a lot of times, like they use Shakespeare, those plays you can kind of put anywhere. So they'll be like, okay, we're going to set Romeo and Juliet in like 1930s Chicago, and it's like mobsters. And they do like cool stuff like that. So why don't, like that was my big like beef with the musicals they tried out. The Peter Pan one, Sound of Music. Did they do another one? I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grease?
Yeah,
Maybe?
Grease. They didn't do anything different with it. It wasn't like, okay, like Sound of Music, cool. We're gonna make like Maria Black, and we're gonna do like this and these. Why wouldn't they do something like this, which was clearly so cool, and really brought everyone together? I mean, representation is such a big thing, right? So you had young Black girls being like, oh my god, like I've never seen like what was the first Black Disney princess was Princess and the Frog, however many years after this. And just how cool that representation is. How cool. Oh, my God. Look at, like, the stepmother. The fairy godmother is freaking Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many
She
opportunities.
has braids.
Yeah.
And like, it was
And she
just,
has,
just
like,
really
this hair.
important. And obviously I didn't feel that impact watching it as a child. I was mostly just concerned with like, the dress is beautiful. I love it. It's my favorite dress. Like,
Well, I think for us, and what also made it cool was they used pop stars, right?
yeah.
So it was such a big deal that Brandy was in this.
Yeah.
And she was the first, obviously African-American Cinderella. I guess Keke Palmer has since played the role on Broadway, so that they've had like another African-American woman do it. But how cool that was to see like a pop star, and her voice isn't Broadway, but it just makes it so great.
Yeah.
Because you don't need a Broadway voice. It's cool to have different, like I said, arrangements and different like ways of doing it. A lot of the people in the show are Broadway. Bernadette Peters, very Broadway person. That Victor Garber guy.
Really? He's Broadway?
Yeah, I think he's done some Broadway. And then the guy who plays the prince.
Go Victor.
But
Jason Alexander do a Broadway?
Yep. He's done a couple shows too.
What was his other like Beauty and the Beast?
Was he in Beauty and the Beast? The live action?
That's what I'm trying to think. No, like on Broadway. Was
I
like
feel
I remember
he's
he
done,
like
the producer
was
or something like that.
yeah.
He's done some kind of that show. But yeah, so such a big deal in 1997. So who was in this? So I think we've said most of the people by now, but we'll just run through it. So obviously Brandy Norwood, definitely peak Brandy moment. So you had Brandy in the show Moesha, if we all remember, from I think it was 1996 to 2000 or something.
Love it.
So she was already doing a lot of acting, and obviously The Boy Is Mine, Brandy and Monica.
Her
huge
first,
time.
her first big hit was "Sitting Up in My Room."
Think about you. I must confess, I'm a mess for you.
So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Boy Is Mine was a little later. When I was in like 6th grade, I did lip sync to it. I was very obsessed. I was Monica though. I was like a Monica person. I didn't love Brandy as much.
Yeah.
I felt like her voice was a little snoozy sometimes. But obviously love her. She had some bit of bad luck a couple years ago.
2006, this car accident.
Yeah, she killed someone.
Total accident. I was reading about it. It was just kind of like a pile up. So she didn't see the person stopping in front of her on the freeway. And then she hit someone, they hit someone, and then it was just like this domino.
I read an article that was like the person
died.
said it was Brandy's fault. Like
it was her fault.
But there was already a pile up?
No, like it was a line of cars stopped and she didn't brake.
Caused the pile.
Yes.
The person died is the first car she hit?
I don't know. I didn't get the details of like which of the cars hit.
Oh, I always thought it was just like her and the other car, and like that is what happened.
I was convinced it was like someone crossing a street or a crosswalk.
Wait, me too. As soon as I said that, I was like, wait, wasn't it a person walking?
No, but I read it. No, it was like on the freeway.
Somebody did.
Maybe somebody else.
Who had a baby named Soraya? Not Sarah. No. Remember like VH1 like behind the artist, and it was like Brandy, and she like gave birth to her daughter Soraya instead of Sarah.
I don't remember. But I remember that being a little bit of like Brandy's downfall. And again, like total accident. She didn't go to jail or anything like that. But
she took a hit on her, her public persona, and she really wasn't around much after that. Hardly at all.
She was also in I Know What You Did Last Summer movie.
I still know what you did last summer. Please. Yeah. We need to watch the first one, but I would like to watch the second one as well. But yes, she was in that. So she was quite a 90s gal.
She was a 90s gal.
Yeah.
The prince is played by this lovely man, let's say, Paulo Montalban, who didn't really get hit anywhere else, but I know he had done some Broadway work. I mean, I think he's like a Broadway person, so maybe like wasn't super interested in doing like big TV fame or Hollywood fame. But he's great, and like I just remember having the biggest crush on him. Just such a cutie, and just seems they just make a really good pair, and I really believed like they really liked each other and loved each other in this. They were just so cute together. I just loved it.
Sorry, I'm engrossed in Brandy's Wikipedia. I got to put that away. It was like Brandy might be bipolar. Like I need to dive back into that. But yeah, she was great, and so this was such a cool thing.
Yeah.
And obviously we loved pretty dresses, and I mean, like, I don't remember what I thought necessarily about the like artistic vibes of this movie when I was little, but I just remember enjoying it. And that's great.
We're going over who else is in it too. Did you miss that part when you were on your phone?
Yeah.
I was like, where are you going with this? I'm like, I'm going through the list. I'm like, hello.
I felt like I was in school. And the teacher's like, we're not even reading that book right now. Or no, they're like, you're like present, and they're like, attendance already happened.
Like, okay, sweetie. All right,
Wikipedia.
sweetie. I'll give you a prompt. Who else is in
That
this?
Wikipedia really took me away.
Who are the king and the queen?
Who did we already talk about? Okay. Whoopi Goldberg and Victor Garber, king and queen. Whoopi, obviously a legend. I mean, not necessarily a singing legend, but associated with singing, like Sister Act.
Yeah, they gave her more of a song in here than I thought maybe. She did okay with it. But I remember we did Sister Act. She didn't do the singing in that, though. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what.
Is that what we determined? I forget. Because her voice is fine. It's just
remember.
it's very flat.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if I sang in like a Broadway show. I mean, I just don't have any range. I'm pretty much like
You
flat.
wish you were like Whoopi.
But I know that's giving me too much credit. But you know what I mean? Like she's just doing okay.
Yeah.
And then Victor Garber, I don't know if he sang at all.
He just has like creepy. Don't you feel like he has creepy?
He has
like
creepy
clown
vibes.
hair.
He has creepy clown hair, but he has creepy vibes from First Wives Club
yes.
for me.
Well, that, and isn't he a bad guy in something else, like Titanic or something?
Well, he comes around Titanic because he's really sad about the
I know.
lifeboats.
But I always thought he never did because of First Wives Club, probably.
Yeah, no, I always
But
approved of
such
that
a sleaze.
guy. And they make him kind of creepy
they
in
make him
this,
so creepy in this. It's
which,
upsetting.
As Sweetie said, like, why?
Why?
Why would you
Not
have
necessary.
him being like, if I was younger, I'd totally plow that Cinderella.
I'd tap that. Like, what is this? So, yeah, that was interesting. Jason Alexander. Do you find in your head you're always like, is it Alexander Jason or Jason Ale? Like, you have to go and like, do you have to do that little dance in your head briefly?
No, I do not, but
I don't know.
with other people.
Yeah, Jason Alexander of Seinfeld fame. I looked up his Broadway show. Did we already talk about him?
No.
Oh, because we talked about him.
Yeah, but we
Oh,
didn't know
people
what
on Broadway.
show.
He was in a show called Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Joe Robbins's Broadway, or Jerome Robbins's Broadway.
Oh.
So Jerome Robinson did the West Side Story, right? Robbins, yeah.
Yeah, he's good in this. He's like the comic relief and like the prince's little buddy who's really rooting for him
Has
to
a
like
weird
make his
accent.
own decisions. I mean, he's doing an impression of Inigo Montoya essentially from Princess Bride. It's like some sort of
What?
Spanish
It's so
thing.
weird.
Yeah. And he
thought
has
it was
this kind
like-
of clown hair. Yeah, but he was good. I mean, he was solid.
Yeah, he's fine.
Good to see him in
He's
something outside of
fine.
Seinfeld, right?
Yep.
Bernadette Peters, so she's like a legendary Broadway actress, or as my favorite role of Lily St. Regis in
Easy
Annie.
Street.
Yep, my favorite movie, Annie. So she's a Broadway legend. She is the stepmother, and I guess they wanted Bette Midler to play the stepmother.
Oof, that would have
Would've
been great.
but she felt very uncomfortable being mean to a black woman.
Well, when that scene was happening, I was like,
Yeah.
because it was just like uncomfortable
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. So, but Bernadette stepped up for it. So they give her a song, and she's part of another one. So she's great. I mean, she's like Bette Midler, always great in everything she does. Avi. And then you have Whitney Houston, as we said, as fairy godmother, just doing it up. Really fun to see her. Miss that bitch. And then the two stepsisters are Natalie Desselle Reed, who unfortunately just passed away this year. She was only in her
What
50s. I don't know if it was COVID related or something else or cancer or whatever, but
Jesus.
that was really sad. She
Ugh.
was like really great in this. And then the other sister is, oh my God, I did not write it down. But
Shoot,
she
the
was
woman
really funny
from
too.
You've Got Mail, who is like, oh my God, I can't believe Fox Books is opening. I'm
Yeah,
going to kill
the
them. And then
children's
she's
book
like,
author.
oh, I'm going to go do a book signing there. I hate that lady.
Miranda or something?
Yeah, it's definitely Miranda. Good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. But that's it.
Yeah, so that's the main cast, and like we said, they're all great. Great mix of people in there, and all really very talented in their own ways.
True.
Yeah.
Good collection. All right. Well, I don't quite know how to approach this synopsis because we've told the story of Cinderella. If, you don't know the story of Cinderella, you've been living under a rock. I guess we can talk about kind of like differences, like like normal, and then I'll be like, okay, but in this, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Okay, it's time for that sweet synopsis.
Yes, sweeties.
The prince is giving a ball. I mean, that's a song, but I wish I should have wrote down like the full name of the prince because that's a really fun part of that song.
Oh,
Christopher Rupert.
What's the one they're like? Whoa, whoa.
One of his middle
Hubert
names.
or something. Yeah.
Hubert. The prince is giving a ball.
Cinderella, no last name, is a servant/slave of her stepmother and her two ugly stepsisters. I use the term ugly, but they're really not. So I'm just going to say stepsisters. I'm changing the narrative. I think it's mean. So Cinderella allegedly was named this because she always sat by the fire cleaning. So are we to believe that when Cinderella was a babe, a young baby, she was like sitting by the fireplace cleaning and her dad was like, I know, let's name her Cinderella? I don't get it.
It wasn't after her dad died and her main job was to like deal with the fireplace.
They changed
stuff?
her name to Cinderella? What was your original name, girl? Like she's warped. Like Stockholm syndrome. I'm concerned. So anyways, that was my first thing we learned. So in this version, Cinderella is walking through the town, like carrying their bags for her stepmother and stepsisters. And the prince just likes to take a casual stroll through the village, like in normal people clothes, and pretend he's a normal person and like make fun of rich people. And you're like, that's rude. And why does no one know what he looks like? Like, I guess they didn't have like pictures or like paintings.
Well,
but,
as we've said so many times before with fairy tale stuff, like I love when people like put on like, a peasant shirt. They're like, you are a totally different person.
I don't even know you.
I love that. It is common
funny.
Knowledge in fairy tale land.
LOL.
Clothes really matter.
Really makes you.
Can really change a person.
Clothes make the man.
Yes.
It's true what they say. So they meet each other, happenstance, she's tripping over boxes and he's like, oh my God, these rich people are terrible. And then they have this little like moment. The song, they're both singing a song. They like meet up. So wait, should we do the songs like in the midst of the synopsis?
I don't remember this one.
I know. This is a weird one.
This is not from the actual musical.
Yeah. It was playing and I was like, I don't know if I like this. Does that mean I don't like this movie? But then like the song I actually knew came on. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, you can tell the difference between the ones that like they kind of added in. They just don't fit the general vibe and like the tone of the rest of them, or even just the sound of them. Who knows what it is? And it was sweet.
They're like, it's like, I want to meet the love of my life in the marketplace.
Paraphrasing the song.
I hope I find them. It's like something like that.
I did like when they like sang, what is that called? Around. I miss a good round.
Oh God, around. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Life is but a dream.
It's stressful. It's like, oh shit, like you
Where am I?
can't tune out for a second.
I know.
For a second.
It takes talent, guys. It takes skills.
What's the biggest round you've ever done? I think we did like 3 or 4 in school. That's tricky. Anyway, so they meet and then we find out that he's, the prince. Meanwhile,
she doesn't find. Oh, she knows.
No,
who he is.
we do. The audience. Like,
does she know who he is?
No, nobody knows who he is. I don't get it. Otherwise, wouldn't they be like swarming him in the village? Like, Prince. Apparently, he's a celebrity. So we meet. I guess go to Cinderella first. They live in this like weird Dr. Seuss house. And it looks like the witch's house from Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
It's just very fantastic, like crazy, like weird stuff.
And the whole setting and scenery of this movie is very, like storybook, like almost out of a book.
It's just really bright.
Very bright. Tons of lime green and orange and big jeweled things everywhere and feathers and ugly weird hats and like It's just very loud and tacky.
Good
almost,
word,
right?
tacky. Good word, good word. Yeah. So Cinderella obviously treated very poorly. She imagines kind of a different life for herself, and she sings this wonderful one of my favorite songs in my own little corner, in my own little chair. So here she's like imagining, when she goes to her little like fireplace corner, like she only gets a corner. You have a whole room, girl. Like she's got upstairs in the attic.
It's cold.
Like,
She needs to be near the fire.
Okay, whatever. But so the song is, in my own little corner, in my own little chair, I can be whatever it is I want to be. And she just goes through different scenarios. She's like, I'm a hunter on an African safari. Well, uses the broom as a gun. Love it. Yeah, great song. It just like really brought me back. I loved that song when I was little for some reason. I used to like sing it in the shower a lot when I was little. Like all these songs, I was like, wow, I was singing. This was when I was like at my peak shower singing age, I think, because I did this whole soundtrack. But yeah, great song. Great song. Yeah. Anything to add on that song?
No, I love it too. Okay. And it's, it's fun because she's telling, how she kind of, plays pretend, which who hasn't done that as a little girl, but
still
she's
doing
older.
it, babe.
Yeah. And she's acting out stuff with her broom, and it's really fun. I enjoyed Brandy's.
I'm glad she's having a good time. She's still, she's terrible predicament, great attitude, positivity out the wazoo.
Anything else to do?
Just, I love her. I love
Chores
that bitch.
and fantasize about being somewhere else,
Right.
So then they switch over, or this might have come first, but whatever. So they switch over to the prince and they figure out like his dilemma. So he's of marrying age, so his parents are giving him a hard time about like, when are you gonna get married, son? And he's all, he's a sensitive soul, this prince. He wants to love and know the person that he marries. He doesn't believe in this arranged thing that's going on, I guess, with royalty. So his mom is like, told him that, she's having a little party, a little get-together with, 400 or 500 people. And then this is where, they think that he's going to find someone to marry. So he really isn't up for this and kind of leaves in a huff, but they decide to do it anyway.
Do we get the sense, though, that they have a lot of balls and he's, like, sick of it? Or he's just like...
he knew, like...
This was
what
like
they
the
were doing.
first ball they've had.
Yeah, he knew like what they were.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
Like they were pretending that it wasn't going to be about that, but it really was. Okay. So then the queen like recites this thing to the assistant there, the Jason Alexander guy. What's his name?
Lionel.
And it is like the whole prince's name. And it's this name that's like 10 names long or something. So we were singing at the beginning, like, Christopher Rupert, dun, 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 son of her highness, dun, 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 dun. So it's this long, long intro. And then, is giving a ball. And then they go to the town and they're kind of doing the royal proclamation. And the whole town like freaks out. And
so
it's,
excited.
The prince is giving a ball. The prince is giving a ball. The prince is giving a ball. And that's basically the whole song. There's big like dance numbers. It's kind of like the village scene reminded me a little bit of, excuse me, like a bell, like the bell scene a lot.
Yeah.
Where it's just like all these villagers together.
What else do these villagers have to look forward to? Like this, you can imagine like how exciting that must have been like to be
totally.
Every day my life is going to the farm and milking a cow. And then it's like, now you get to come to this ball, but only if you're a young woman.
Oh, totally. So the whole town erupts and it's this great thing where all the villagers are doing these big dance numbers, So it's like 10 bakers like with aprons on, like holding baking pans and doing like dance moves. I just like love that kind of style.
I love that
of
shit.
thing.
Yeah, it's great.
So funny. So that's a really fun one. Big old nice town scene.
Definitely. Yeah, you're right. And then Cinderella's like, oh, I wish I could go to the ball. And her stepmom's like, you'll never go to the ball. And then Brandy. That's when Brandy sings In My Own Little Corner. You're right. I messed it up again. So, cut to her stepsisters, are now getting ready to go. Cinderella can't come. She's very sad. But who should arrive but her fairy Godmother. And there's some other songs that we skipped over, but they're like really boring.
Yeah.
They're like the Queen and King one. Like I really, honestly, I forgot them immediately until just now. So
we're just gonna do the hits.
we're just gonna do the hits, only the hits. A fairy godmother. So fairy godmother arrives. She is glorious. She arrives in like a glowing, sparkling cloud of golden spirals. Great hair. I'm obsessed still so badly with this outfit, guys. It is like a turtleneck situation, but like
It's like a sheath.
a sheath, all like full body with this amazing
Gold.
cape that
Yeah.
this like butterfly effect cape, gold sequin sparkles. And her
Yeah, and
hair
she
is
is-
like gold in it.
Yeah, she's kind of big hair. It's not like an afro. It's like a loose afro, and there's sparkles all in it. And yeah, she's just like totally fabulous. And Whitney's tall, so she's very like statuesque anyway.
Golden goddess.
Yeah, and it's a great change up. 'Cause I forget in the other Rodgers and Hammerstein one, whether it's the Julie Andrews one or the Leslie Ann Warren one, what they make the fairy godmother look like. But if we remember from the Disney one where she's like this pudgy
God.
little
What the fuck? And wears
sorcerer.
a hood dress? Like not even a
Yeah.
real dress? You get to wear an oversized sweatshirt?
Oh yeah, it was so it's cool in this one that she's really cool looking, a little bit more like Glenda style from like Wizard of Oz, and they actually made a point of mentioning that, like, who did you expect?
What did you expect? A little old lady?
Yeah.
Like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I did actually.
So I feel like they modernized the Whitney as the fairy godmother, and even her whole exchange with her is like just seems a little bit more contemporary and true to like who maybe more like Whitney was, and I really like that a lot. So so she pops up in the window and she's like, "Father all and fiddly dee, fiddly faddly fuddle," and does this kind of like funny little introduction. So she says, "You want to go to the ball? Like, let's do this," and starts turning shit into transportation and drivers.
Transfiguration. Transfiguration, they call it. She does a great job, great work. But this is the best, what I think is the best song in the whole show, which is Impossible. And this version of it in particular is stuck in my brain for like, I will only ever hear this version, like Whitney being like, "Impossible." Oh my God. It's just like iconic.
Yeah,
chills.
They arranged this one so well, like to Whitney's voice again and like her style, and it's like
So good.
So
fucking good, but great song. And then this, of course, is when we get our transformation from rags to beautiful dress. Rate the dress for us, sweetie, 1 to 10. What's your rating?
that's a 12 for me.
12.
Wait, are you gonna sing the Impossible song?
We were just singing it.
I want to sing more of it.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Impossible for a plain yellow pumpkin to become a golden carriage, and
Impossible.
For a plain country bumpkin and a prince to join in marriage, and 4 white mice will never be 4 white horses. A father down the fiddly dee of courses. Impossible. Do, 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 do. 'Cause the world is full of zanies and fools who don't believe in sensible rules, who don't believe what sensible people say. Because I don't keep building up impossible hopes. Impossible things are happening every day. Boom. Oh, so good. And it's just, great set pieces here, guys. The carriage transformation, the dress, and then she's whisked off to the ball in like a cloud of
Describe
gold.
the dress again. Sorry.
Okay, so the dress is classic princess cut, I guess, which is that like kind of heart-shaped neck line, but like bodice, and then an off-the-shoulder little kind of made of tulle or something there, and then the skirt is full, but it has one of those like Sleeping Beauty-esque triangle bustle things. It's not really a bustle, but it's like a piece that kind of goes over the top. I don't know what you call that, but it's gorgeous. And it's like a very interesting material. I would say it's like a
Skater?
bubble.
I was thinking the bodice is like a skater.
Oh, yeah.
Like
But the skirt
stretchy.
is like if you were pretending to be a mermaid, you would wear that as your tail.
Right.
Something like that. But it's gorgeous. It is this most beautiful like blue kind of what do you call that? Not turquoise, but Is it blue or is it a little teal?
No, I think it's mostly blue. It's like
Yeah.
a icy.
It's gorgeous. She's
Blue.
got a frosty lip. Can't
Yep,
go wrong.
frosty lip, blue eyeshadow.
Beautiful updo, crown, tiara,
Yeah.
white gloves. It's just like, it's perfection. It was like
And
iconic.
Unfortunately, ugly glass slippers.
Oh dear. Okay. Wow, guys, we have a problem. So I feel
We have
like,
a problem.
yeah, problem A with the glass slipper. First of all, terrible material, terrible choice of materials. Like, why? Like, you can't find anything else. Like, I would rather take a wooden shoe fairy godmother than a fucking glass
clog.
slipper that I
Dutch
could
clog.
break and like cut my foot off. No, thank you. But plus, this one is literally just a piece of glass shaped in a foot, in like a shape of a foot, and you put it on. It's just see through. So it's just a fucking foot. You're like, great. I'm glad I'm wearing shoes at all.
I mean, I feel like the cartoon one was like a cute
It was like silvery and glittery,
Barbie pump too.
but it wasn't see through.
It
it was
wasn't-
like very light,
yeah.
sparkling white.
And
or
we were trying to
silver.
come up with, because we don't know, like, what was the reason for the glass slipper? Like, why did it have to be glass?
Well,
'Cause it
typically
was
it's
so
like
unique.
something, because you can't, like, one of the laws of magic or whatever, you can't just like conjure something from nowhere. So I think it has to be like drawn from something. So like maybe from materials she had around would be my only theory, which is like super nerdy.
Deep.
But it's like a Harry Potter thing. But I assume it's the same universe.
Girl's been on the Cinderella Reddit page.
But yeah, it is very strange, and this one in particular is especially ugly. I don't know, what do you call that stylish shoe that has that like fanned out top like that? Like it's like a
hideous.
Victorian style
Yeah,
shoe or
yeah.
something. I hate it. Like I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's
like I can't
it's
even.
Not great.
So
Yeah, I mean, you don't see it till the end because her dress is so long, so it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah.
it's
It's for the effect.
It's
I
made
get
for
it,
Tuesday.
and like this whole like chaos and stress of it breaking at
right.
the end, and like good times. But whatever. But yeah, the dress gorgeous. Love it. Full marks.
Yeah.
Full marks for me. So she's off to the ball. So the ball is apparently like a blue and purple ball, which they weren't very explicit on the invite as far as I was aware in the song. No one mentioned this dress code. But it's looks like a grand time. The prince is not having fun. He's just like, blah, blah. Oh, another pretty girl. Oh, jeez. And then everything stops when Cinderella walks through the door. And everybody like freezes and is like, who's that girl? And he is drawn to her like a magnet, and they start like spinning and dancing, twirling immediately. And then they sing their song, which is my other favorite song. I think it's Impossible, 10 minutes ago, and then My Own Little Corner maybe is my ranking. But this song is 10 minutes ago I met you. So 10 minutes ago I saw you. I looked up when you came in through the door.
My head started spinning.
I wanted to ring up the bells.
Oh, no, this is the first one. You gave me the feeling the room had no ceiling or floor. 10 minutes ago I saw you.
Met you. Okay.
We murmured our how do you do's. I wanted to ring out the bells and swing out my arms. Sing out the news.
Wow.
I
Good job.
have found her. She's an angel. With dust from the heavens in her eyes or something.
Yeah.
It's really cute, and he does a great job
Oh my
singing
God.
it. And
I wish someone would sing that song to me. I would die.
Waltz kind of tempo. So they're waltzing around, and he's singing it, and it's just so lovely. And
So
it's
cute.
so sweet. And like I said, you just like really believe. You just like
Little angel. He's an angel. Yeah. All angels. But you know what is super shitty about this is that Fairy Godmother drops her off at 11:15, not even 11. Doesn't even get a full fucking hour because the Fairy Godmother's like, oh, P.S., this is all going to go away at midnight. And Cinderella looks at the clock and it's 11:15. She's like, shit. So 45 minutes, guys. Great. So
Better get to work.
At this rate, it's already midnight practically in 5 minutes. So her and the prince are obviously in love, and they're like talking, and like they're just having a great time. And then they sing another song.
So the next song is actually the stepsisters' Lament. So they're like spying on them, And this one's like, why would a fella want a girl like her? A girl like me. Why would a fella want a girl like her? A girl who's merely me, or something. So that's funny. So they're just saying, like, complaining about Cinderella and how beautiful she is, and in like the way that they do. And then they fall into a fountain.
Classic jealousy. They fall into the old fountain gag. And then they sing Cinderella and the Prince sing another song.
Yes. So this is my favorite song.
Okay.
So it's Do I Love You Because You're Beautiful. And it's a beautiful duet. And if you heard or are familiar with other Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, you'll find that this sounds a lot like many of their other duets. And there's quite a few duets in all of their musicals. Sweetie and I are really familiar with The King and I. That was one, we'll talk about it later, that we grew up with. And we were trying to remember like the duet from that one, and it's very close.
It was
to this
really
one.
gone forever.
Yeah,
it was like when we tried to do the Indiana Jones theme after Star Wars. It was like it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone from my memory. But as soon as she looked it up and we were saying it, we knew all the words like immediately.
So they're similar, but just a little bit different. So this one goes. So the Prince starts first. Do I love you because you're beautiful, or are you beautiful because I love you?
I don't get it. Will you explain that? I don't get it. It's hurting my head.
Well,
are you beautiful? I'm just trying to break it down. Are you beautiful because I love you? Is that the first one?
Yeah.
Or do I love you because you're beautiful?
Yep. Or are you beautiful because I love you? He's kind of like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
He's projecting the beauty, even if she's not beautiful. But he's basically being like, or are you not beautiful? I don't know.
He's saying, okay, is it like, did he fall in love with her because she's so pretty?
Listen, Buster.
Or does he see the good in her and thinks that she's pretty because of that
Buster,
way?
if I am beautiful, it is because of my own doing. It was nothing that you did. But okay, interesting.
So then they switch it, and then she sings a bit, but they always come together.
Hers is weird. Hers
together
is like,
on the bridge, which is really pretty.
Hers is weird, right? Like, I want you. It was like, whoa, a little racy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do I want because I want
you because you're wonderful, or are you wonderful because I want
you? It's like, whoa.
So they come together on the bridge, which goes, are you the sweet invention of a lover's dream, or are you really as wonderful as you seem?
Common question you would have before a first date, on a first date, which essentially this is for them. So great song.
Yeah.
Great song to sing after a date.
Yeah. It's beautiful. They're cute. They do get a little smooch in the end. It's so nice. And they look just like so happy. But it's short-lived.
Yeah. Interrupted by the clock clanging midnight. Time is up. Cinderella bolts. The classic, wait, what's your name? What even happens in this version? She's like, does she even mumble like...
Oh, well, we should mention that other part where she kind of like freaks out. And leaves
out.
for a little, and the fairy godmother's still there, and he gives her a little pep talk.
Oh, yeah.
Remember you mentioned this?
Oh, yeah.
And this is different from other ones.
Definitely different. Yeah. So at the ball, Cinderella is already meeting the parents, and she's dancing with the queen and the king, with the king, who is a creepo. So we're like very concerned, obviously, about this match. I'm like, get away from her. So he's asking her like, who's your mother?
Or the queen does.
Oh, the queen does. And she's like, nobody. And then sees her stepmother like coming for her. Like, I know that person. Because, of course, her stepmother and stepsisters do not recognize her. And so she freaks out. She's like, what am I doing here? Oh, this is such a bad idea. They're going to know it's me and I'm getting in so much trouble. So she kind of panics and runs outside. And the fairy godmother appears and like gives her a pep talk and is like, don't stress out. Just be yourself. And it works.
Because it's a nice message of like, she doesn't feel like she belongs, right? They're going to know who I really am. And the fairy godmother's like, that's not why he likes you, like, because of this pretty dress and whatever. Even though, that was kind of the point of that song, which they sing next. I mean, that happens first, and then he sings the song, which is basically validating that, saying, okay, like, I think you're beautiful because, like, you're beautiful on the inside. But yeah, so that was cool. And Sweetie brought up that is one that is not usually something that is brought up in, the Cinderella, the animated one, where she just basically gets, the fairy godmother's like, okay, good luck. Remember?
Like, doesn't even
like,
take her to the ball. And like, I thought it just stopped there on this one, where like, I really appreciated the fact that the fairy godmother in this, like, was in the coach with her on the way to the ball. and that she showed up in the middle of the ball, and that she shows up after, right? Like, yeah, after the ball. And it's like, wow, the fairy godmother did jack shit in the original, in the cartoon one.
Yeah.
Never saw that bitch again.
Yep.
Cinderella was really struggling. She was
Lot of
locked
pep
in a
talks.
fucking room.
Yeah.
Where was my fairy godmother?
Yeah.
The mice had to save me because my fairy godmother wasn't around. Like, what the fuck?
She only was providing the goods, and then
The
she
bitch
was,
sucked.
Like, out of
She's
there.
shopping for sweatshirt dresses. She got lost.
Hoodies. Full-length hoodies. So so she has to leave. You know, we all know this part. Clock strikes midnight. Got to get the fuck out of there. Her stuff starts turning to rags like when she's running down the stairs. Pretty scary. And she's able to get out of there before he sees her, but then leaves, you know, the infamous shoe behind. So he's pretty bummed because obviously they were having a great time. And then
Great
who
date.
just bombs out of there and doesn't like say why?
Diarrhea.
Yeah.
Diarrhea. I'd say diarrhea. Yeah. It was like, I'd blame it on the diarrhea. Like, the food gave me, I didn't have time to eat it, but it gave me diarrhea.
She's probably nervous. So anyway, so she goes home. The ball ends. He's distraught, but he has this shoe. And she comes back and, you know, is pretty sad because she realizes, you know, probably nothing's ever going to happen. And then she decides she probably has to leave. So she is home. The stepmother and the stepsisters come home and they're all like rehashing the ball. And Cinderella, you know, is pretending she's just imagining what the ball was like. Oh, how was the ball? But they sing another really cute song, which is called Lovely Night. I don't remember all the lyrics, but it's like, lovely night, lovely night. Da, 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 da,
I have no memory of this. No.
So she's just kind of...
I thought is it the one she's like, I suppose it was like this or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's really cute. And I forgot about that one, but I wish I knew it more. And then the stepmother finally puts two and two together and is like, oh shit, she wasn't imagining being at the ball. She was there. It was her, because they all, you know, saw this beautiful princess that, you know, took the prince's attention away from everybody else. And were pissed about
guess who it is.
So she wisens up and she's like, everyone go to bed. Cinderella, like, do your chores.
Well, yeah. And then the prince decides to go on his search to find this woman by, you know, trying on the shoe.
Well, and Cinderella decides she's running away at that point.
Oh, man, I really zoned out at the end. I'm like, I don't remember that at all.
Packing her bags.
Where was she going to go?
Somewhere, I don't know.
Well, good, because I wanted her to get out of there, like, in the very beginning. I was like, why are you here? Like, what is holding you here?
Because she gave a promise to her dad, like she
I
wouldn't
know,
leave
but then
them.
she talks to him and is like, well,
Yeah,
this
she
bitch
does.
locked me in this house, so...
She tells him things have really changed.
Oh, right.
Like, I gotta
okay,
get out of here.
I do
You
remember that then.
Yeah.
But I didn't think she made it. She didn't make it far because she gets locked in the house.
No, she, like, leaves out the back door, and then the horses kind of startle her. That's when she's just, like, stuck outside the house. Yeah.
Did you talk about how the prince came to the house yet? Okay.
How are we messing this
What
up?
horses? We're like, this is going to be the easiest synopsis of all time. Do we even have to do one?
Whoopsie.
Yeah, so the prince is coming to try the shoes on, and then the wicked stepmother locks her in her little, it seemed like the kitchen. It was like a huge door. I'm like, where did this giant door come from? But you know what? Apparently there's a back door. So joke's on you, bitch. Like, good try. But they try the shoe on everybody. It doesn't fit. Obviously comical, very funny.
Yeah,
good. So big.
Try on shoe montage with every
Good bit.
every Cinderella kind of
Even the stepmother.
like movie or
And
show
they're like,
has.
is there anyone else in this house? No, what are you talking about? No. So then they go to leave, and there she is, Cinderella, startled by the horses. And then he sees her and immediately remembers how they first met in the market. And he said, like, darn those rich people.
Yeah, they have a little inside joke.
Yeah, their little inside joke on, like, how terrible rich people are. LOL. And
You're going to be one.
it's, like, true, though. Like, it's really actually true. And then they fall in love right then and there again and again and again. And then we transition to, we find out, did they make it? They did, because they get married immediately. Fairy Godmother provides the dress. Maybe the carriage again. I hope it's sturdier than the pumpkin. That thing was rickety as fuck. I was worried about it. The wheels were like, wow.
What do you expect from a gourd?
What do you expect from a pumpkin? A yellow pumpkin. Come on. So yeah, happily ever after, together forever. I was really overjoyed for her. I felt emotional. I was like, I'm so happy for her. She had a terrible life. She had a terrible situation, and now it's wonderful.
Yep.
So, classic tale.
Dreams do come true.
But yeah, interesting watching it. So neither one of us has seen this since probably it was airing on TV. I don't know how long they played this in syndication, but that would have been the only time that we saw it. Like, I don't even think you could have rented it I don't think they were like, did they put TV?
It did say
like,
it still holds the record of like most video sales for made for TV movie. So
sales.
Yeah, so they did, I think, put it out on video.
Yeah, I just don't remember like watching it a ton after.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Where's I going with that? Oh yeah, so watching this for tonight was like pretty interesting because it definitely, I mean, I remembered most of it, but I did not remember just like the outlandish styling of it. I think maybe because we were in the 90s, we just were like, this is right. And it like, we didn't question it. And now we're looking at it and I was like, wow, good thing 90s fashion is timeless because it's really not. Even the special effects are 90s. They put like spirals that you doodle on your notebook like in class. That was the effects. Someone was like, do magic things, and a girl was like, I know, and did a spiral. Like, why? I'm surprised there wasn't one of those things that's like the 3 lines and the 3 lines and it makes like an S. That's like but it looks like a chain.
Yep.
What do you call that? Susie. Stussy. What does that mean?
That's what it's called.
Stusio. But it's very 90s. It's like adorably 90s, and it's just the colors. It's like, what are the worst color combinations you can think of?
That's what I felt like.
That's the 90s style and vibe we're going for.
I just don't use orange ever. Is just my
What
feeling.
2 colors look the worst? Oh, I know.
It was like
We'll use
lime
those.
green and orange were the color palette, and I was just like, what is happening here? So yeah, lots to be desired with that. The costumes were okay. I felt like the ball ones, even with like the purple you were talking about, was just like, I was looking closer at some of the dresses. I'm like, that's like kind of shoddy.
Yeah,
Like,
well, they had to make so many of them.
Yeah,
one thing that I couldn't tell was like a racial component of this or not was that at first I said like the production value was like adorably sad, but then I was like, there's like, you can tell it's like, that is a cardboard cake that Jason Alexander is like flying around with. Like, you can't, it's not even close to being real. Or they're like, here's a fake castle, which is literally a painting. And whenever they're outside, there's no sky. And so you're like, come on guys, try a little harder. But
that's
then
why I think sometimes the TV movie thing has that vibe.
right. But then I was thinking, like, did this film not get a lot of funding because of these people of color in the main roles?
I don't know. I mean, Whitney had a hand in it, and she was like,
I know, but it's a lot of these movies is always like the production. Like, if you don't have the backing, then like you don't have
I feel like
lot.
that's just TV movie like kind of stuff in general, because they're
hope
filming
so.
it on like a stage.
I hope so.
You know, they have limited sets, so they, it's not like a movie production where, and I'm sure the budget was not as big as a movie at all.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully that is the case. Yeah. But I felt sad, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. But maybe I think they spent a large portion of their money on the costumes for the fairy godmother and Cinderella, like the ball gown.
The stepsisters.
Yeah.
So the stepsister ball ones, like one is a legit lime green lampshade, let's say. Like, it's so
They're
ugly.
so weird.
It has like the tassels, and it's like a lopsided hoop skirt.
And they're the kind of dress that you have to like waddle in.
Yes. And they're supposed to be ugly. I mean, that's the whole thing with especially the stepsisters. Yeah. They're supposed to be hideous. And this one, they do a good job of making the stepsisters aren't really that mean to Cinderella. It's only the fairy godmother, the stepmother who's just
but it's like
terrible.
Here's what I wish, like modern day Cinderella, my dream is like, okay, let's get rid of the ugly component though, and just be like, they're ugly like in their heart. Yeah. So just remove the ugly and then just be like the mean stepsisters. And then it doesn't become a thing where you're like, if you're ugly, you're bad. Yeah. That's my wish. But they're supposed to be mean, and they're not really in there. So they're just more like dumb and annoying. and comedic relief as usual. That's a big comedic relief part. But yeah, what were your overall thoughts after watching this?
I mean, it's adorable, and I think it's pretty timeless. Like I don't think
aside from the costuming and the colors.
I mean, you could put any kid down in front of that, little kid or little boy or girl in front of this now, and I think be really entertained still. It has that very exciting, loudness to it that I think kids would like. And it would be interesting because you don't have kids now. Like, I don't know any little girl who's going to be like, yeah, Brandy. I mean, it's just, who the hell is Brandy, right? Yeah. She's kind of gone. You might know who Whitney Houston is, maybe, but even Whitney Houston, has been dead now for 10 years or so. So
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's always a wild card with kids. Like, I don't know what they'll respond to. Are they looking? Do they need special effects? Like, I don't know.
Right.
You always wonder. It's not really special effects. There's the painting method in this movie, similar to The Worst Witch, where they just seem like somebody was just like, I'm gonna do paint on a freeze it, and then I'm gonna add use the paint can, splash that in, spirals, and then. They just make it happen.
You love the spirals.
They do.
But yeah, it was thrilling. I'm so glad we watched this. It's been a long time. I am a huge fan of musicals. They just make me so happy, I just love singing songs, and I loved remembering that I knew these songs. I actually kind of pre-listened to the soundtrack last night, and I was singing it at the top of my lungs to Jimmy in my apartment, and he was getting the biggest kick out of it.
How did you listen? I thought you said they didn't have the soundtrack.
They have the Broadway version.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty good, actually. The stars in it are awesome. I don't know who they are, but they're great. And I guess they Carly Rae Jepsen, I think, has done the role, and I believe Camilla Cabello is going to be doing it next on Broadway. So they do use pop stars, I guess, quite a bit for that main role. But so big fan of musicals. Rodgers and Hammerstein, definitely my favorite. You might be a Sondheim fan. You might be, who else is a big
Fosse?
Musical? Well,
not dancing.
Musical, kind of. I mean, Rodgers and Hammerstein definitely really big for the classic ones that kind of never get old. Even though I think now they are a little bit getting a bit racist and maybe not the greatest, but we grew up with a lot of those. So Oklahoma, I feel like we should do that because I do love that movie.
I love that movie.
I love those songs. We kind of grew up with that one. I feel like our mother really liked that one. Love Oklahoma. South Pacific, I haven't seen that one that much. It's kind of boring.
Andrew Lloyd Webber,
right.
George Gershwin. Yeah. Those are the big ones.
Sound of Music, obviously.
Alan Menken,
So we're going to be doing Sound of Music. Christopher Plummer has died recently, so I did want to do that sort of soon. That's the one. Other than King and I is the other one, which I know really well because I was actually in that musical when I was 12 or 13 years old. I was the dancing part of it, but I was backstage and knew all the songs from that one because I lived that musical for a whole winter.
Carousel,
and Carousel is the other kind of big one, which I don't know that one at all either. So that and South Pacific I really don't know, but the other ones are just my bread and butter, and I know all the songs, and I just love them, and I just love those two, and I think they're just really fun and easy songs to sing. Not easy to sing, but approachable, and the lyrics are great.
When you search Rodgers, when you search musical songwriters or whatever, Broadway songwriters, Cinderella doesn't even come up on his on his preview of what he's done. That's weird. Rude.
Yeah.
It's rude.
So I know Broadway took a real hit during this pandemic because obviously no one could go into theaters. So hoping that can make a rebound, as things are getting better here. I mean, New York is just allowing movie theaters to kind of start happening, and sports venues and stuff. They're allowing 10% capacity. So hopefully we're not far away from Broadway being reopened. Because really feel for all those, and feel for all the Broadway stuff that we're missing. New shows that need to come out but are not able.
We're missing a lot of joy and happiness.
Yeah, and it's just the big one recently was Hamilton, right? And they did that cool thing where they released that through, was that Disney Plus too?
Yep.
Yeah. So that was really awesome, and that made me feel a little bit almost like this, that you had people who didn't get a chance, to experience that in a stage setting ever, but then it kind of got this fever, and everyone was was watching Hamilton and like remembering the songs, and they would just kind of be stuck in their head for a while. And I just love that about musicals and how it can really bring people together. Yeah.
Magical experience. Yeah.
I love a good musical.
Yeah, we miss them. Sweetie and I saw Moby Dick the musical right before the pandemic happened.
I don't know about that one, guys. Good try.
It was weird. Yeah, it's just like Moby Dick, not a good book. Yeah. Still not a good musical. Yeah. Like too long. Still don't care about whale parts. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They did cool stuff with it, but I don't know if that's making it to Broadway anytime soon.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, anything else?
No.
We can add? Okay.
Good choice.
But yeah,
sweetie.
Go bring yourself to Disney Plus. Watch this. And then come find us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us.
Oh, and
thank you as always for listening. Oh, Sweetie has a shout out.
Shout out. So recently we've learned that, the last couple months really, with my episode of Jeopardy being on Netflix now, and it's kind of one of the first ones actually that you get to when you go to Jeopardy. All these people have done the due diligence and investigative work from the little bit I was able to say about the podcast in my little interview segment in the middle there, and have found us and reached out to us and said, hey, found you on after watching Jeopardy. Like, you're exactly the kind of podcast I like. I grew up around the same time you and your sister did. Like, I have a sister. Like, we really connect with you guys. And it has been awesome. Like, we've gotten such amazing emails and messages and all this stuff, and just reaching out and saying thank you to all those new fans. We have a lovely backlog of 200 plus episodes for you, so I hope that will keep you
buckle up,
entertained for a long time. Apologies that the first 5 or so episodes we did not have a good setup and our sound is bad. So if you do get to those, it gets better. But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for seeking us out. As we say time and time again, it's you fans that keep us going.
It's all about you guys. Yeah. Thank you. We love you.
So thank you for listening.
Yes. All right.
Now you're
Where
lost.
Where am I?
You're so lost tonight.
Bye.
No rape artist and musicals.
The king. Definitely a rape artist.
Bye. Oh no, I'm going to edit this part out.